So this first part of the project does involve a lot of super heavy thinking, but uh, I went out to Home Depot and I bought 3/8 inch rebar, and this is what it looks like. It's well, it's thinner than my pinky, and after I cut it, I realized I didn't know anything about the diameter I wanted. So I went back and I looked at some plans that people had, and it turns out that they wanted it to be 25 inches across. Well, I have a foot-long foot, that's size 12. That's not 25 inches. That's nowhere near, actually, not too bad, but it's also not too good. So I thought, how do you figure that out? And then, junior high math came in, and I remembered that if you know the diameter of a circle, 25 inches, for example, that I want wide, you just need to multiply that by 3.14 pi to get a number that equals the circumference. It's not exact, but for what we're doing, who cares? So I did the math. 25 inches times 3.14 equals 78.5. So then you just need a tape measure, right? So I got one tape measure. I won't be able to do any of this on camera, but who cares? I just want to tell you what I'm doing. So I'm going to stretch this out, and I'm going to figure out 78 inches, 78.5 inches, and then I'm going to cut it with this angle grinder with a cutting wheel. These are cheap at Harbor Freight right now. Yeah, I think I saw a coupon that was good for getting one for $5. This is the 4-inch wide model. If you ever cut metal, it'll be worth it. Also in the background there, the rest of my metal supplies in my plaster lathe that I'm going to need. I also have a pair of heavy-duty tin snips I'm going to use to cut that stuff up, but that's a later video. So the first step is to take this 10-foot section, which I think I paid about $5 for it. So my whole project, I'm into it about $20 for the rebar, and then another, I would say another $5 each for the lath. I may not need all that. We'll see. I'll look for the later video about costs. Anyway, so I have my 1/2 inch, and this is 1/2 inch rebar. I upsized it from 3/8 inch rebar because this is something I want to last. And I didn't want it to be flimsy or flexible in any way. And this 1/2 inch stuff is pretty solid. It's also not the really super thick stuff. I have some, I don't even know what that is. Something more than 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 inch. Anyway, super thick stuff that I decided I had no physical way to bend it without beating on it with a hammer for a few hours. And so I may not use that larger size, the one up from 3/8. Anyway, on with the show. Let me measure and cut a 78.5 inch circle or a length. All right, so this is starting to come along. This is my cut wire, rebar, excuse me. So I have cut it, and then I basically just started bringing it along by stepping on it. So I basically, let me get a prop. I basically took it like this, put my foot on it, and just held it up while I pushed down. And then I kept moving down the line until I had circled it up. That only got me so far though, because these tips, right here, how did I do that? Well, I have some of these clamps made out of pipe, and they're hollow. So you can put the pipe inside this hole and slide it in, right? So I get it in about 3 or 4 inches, because it was this part right here that was giving me so much grief to get turned. So I'd move it in about 3 inches, and I'd step on this pipe clamp while yanking up on this, causing only the end to bend. Will that damage a pipe clamp? I don't know, I think I paid like $5 for these. I'm not super concerned, but it did seem to give me a couple of sharper bends than I would have gotten had I not. And I'm not saying that's perfect, but as I try to pull it together, it's getting closer and closer to being, well, like look at this one. This one I have, it's not welded or anything, it's just spring tensioned pressure one, because I basically tightened it up a little tighter than I should have, and if I unspring it, it sits like that, right? So I mean, there's not a huge amount of tension on it, but when I put these ends end to end, they stay there because they're springy. All right, so I still have a little ways to go here. I haven't done that, but as soon as I do that, I think I'll be ready to put a tack weld in that spot and hold it all together. So I'm gonna wrench on it for a bit, and we'll look and see what happens after that. It should be ready to weld here in a minute. All right, this video is starting to get a little long, so I'm gonna wrap, but here's what I got up to this point. A non-circle, which is okay because trees aren't perfectly cylindrical. A triangle, which doesn't have equal sides, not like the one that I showed you a picture of in the introduction video. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, Mr. Tad Unusual, why don't you zoom in on those welds so we can see what kind of job you did? Which of course breaks all kinds of rules for me, as far as I'm not a welding channel, and I'm only welding to be a proof of concept, really. So I'm not going to do that. Matter of fact, I'm going to grind them smooth before you see them again, so that my complete lack of welding skill doesn't come into the video. You can leave it out of the comments. I get it. I could have done a better job. Anyway, either way, I think the welds will hold, and that's what's important. And you know, even if they don't, they'll be encased in concrete. So you know what's going to happen. It's not like a reinforced bridge that's going to fall down or something. Anyway, so that's the tabletop. There's still a circle that goes in the middle that I'll work on tomorrow, and we'll see what we can do. I'll see you on the next video.